6-foot length. Now let's examine each of these, and I'll explain why I did it. 10-inch handle. Again, more leverage in the throw. I'm going to have a longer lever, which means it's going to be faster, and it's also going to use less energy for me to get that whip to crack. All right. I've also heard that it's kind of like a gun, a rifle versus a pistol. This is the equivalent of a longer barrel. It's going to give me a more accurate throw. Yes and no. In the end, it's about the user, not the whip. I know people like Jerry Deere can do amazing things with a 10-foot American Latigo swivel handle whip that people said couldn't be done. Of course, Jerry also has a very nice collection of kangaroo hide whips as well. So, also, the 6-foot length. This is a whip that I can use indoors in a relatively confined space. Most performers and whip artisans are going to discover they're not going to be outside like I am today, or in a big stadium or on a massive stage. They're going to have very confined spaces to work with, so they're going to want a shorter whip. I saw Karen Quest at the Western Montana Fair a couple of years ago. She was using a beautiful matched pair of David Morgan 4-foot whips. She let me hold them, and that was an amazing experience. Karen, if you want to get rid of those whips, give me a call. But I asked her, why aren't you using a longer whip? Because I was an Indiana Jones fan, and I had a 10-foot whip and all this, and she said the reason is because look where I'm performing. And she was under a little pavilion on the fair stage, which is tiny, and she had a whip that she could use for that. I was very impressed by her, but I was more impressed with those whips, and that was the first instance of where I thought, maybe a 10-foot Indiana Jones whip isn't going to be the best thing. And lastly, I'd like to point out my cracker. I make my own crackers. You can buy them as well. If you want to order some, let me know. I don't know why you would. They're very easy to make. But I'll make them for you at a pretty cheap price, too. But this is originally a 12-inch cracker. I use a longer cracker on my 2 long whips because it brings out the taper of my whip, because it tapers from this to this, and I've got a nice long taper. I heard a rumor, I don't know if it's true, that Anthony DeLongis prefers a longer cracker as well, and that's where I got the idea for the Typhoon Mark 1. And then I just started using them and discovered they work really, really well. This is just braided nylon that I make. If you want to know how to make one, post a note. I might post a video. But I use a longer cracker, simply because I think it cracks a little bit better, and it seems to flow a lot better than the shorter crackers. A lot of makers out there just throw a little tiny cracker on there, or they have the same cracker for every whip. And that is not the case. Every whip is different. You need to find a cracker that's going to suit that whip. Maybe that might be another whip manifesto bit. But this is a whip that I use for all my general purpose. You've seen me in the videos that I have here. You've seen me, it's very accurate. I had the thing with the flower where I took it down in 5 cracks. I can rap with it. I can teach with it, which is really important. Because when I teach, I want to be able to show the action of the whip. I want to be able to show that loop. Alright? And this whip allows me to do it. It's not so fast that my student can't follow it, yet it's not so long that the student's waiting for it to finish. So, if you're looking for a first whip, what I would suggest is, 1, buy the most expensive whip you can. We're looking $400 around there for a good kangaroo hide whip. In my opinion, nothing will outperform a natural hide whip. There are some wonderful nylon whip makers out there, and I suggest that you go check them out. People like Steve Huntress at Northeast Whips, and some other people make excellent. Greg Desai, I have a couple of his whips right here in Montana, Stockman Supply. They make an excellent nylon whip. But I'm going to preface that saying I would suggest that you go with natural hide. But again, there are some great whips out there. But I would say get the most expensive whip that you can. If you're on a budget, check out those nylon whip makers I mentioned. But don't cut yourself short, because you're going to find that by starting with a good tool, that it's going to aid in the learning process. I started on a 10-foot American swivel handle bullwhip, and I'm still trying to break habits that I picked up because of its length, because of its weight, and because of the fact that it swiveled. It was very tough. If I would have started with something like this, I think I'd be a lot farther along in my whip development than I am now. Secondly, function over form. Try to get a longer handle, 10-inch, 12-inch, 13.5-inch, also known as the longest handle. Get a longer handle whip. Don't start with an 8-inch handle. You're welcome to, if that's what you're doing, but what do you want your whip to do? And get a whip that is functionally suited to do what it is you want to do. I suggest 10-inch handle. It's a nice medium range. Louis Fox recently actually built an Indiana Jones style whip with a 10-inch handle. Hey, if you can get something like that, go for it. not only is it somewhat screen accurate, but it's going to give you that longer lever, and as you're learning, you're going to find that it's going to work a little bit better for you. And secondly, really decide what it is you want your whip to do. I've had people say, well, I want to do all the things Indiana Jones did in the movies. That's really simple. Forward throw. If you're doing the Cairo flash, you know, a couple of forward throws and an underhand throw. You know, you've got your wraps, forward throws, side throws. And quite frankly, that's about it. There isn't a lot of whip work in the Indiana Jones movies, and what is shown is exactly what the 455 bullwhip is designed to do. Single throws on a plane with limited multiple cracking. If you want to do more than that, which most of us do after we pick up one of these, get a functionally suited whip to your purpose. And also have a screen-accurate Indiana Jones whip, because that's just cool. But understand that it does have its limitations, and that you will want a whip that will allow you to do more. So, that is Whip Manifesto point number 1. Function over form. If you have any questions or comments, you can post them down there. In the meantime, stay safe, keep cracking, and I'll try to put up number 2 as soon as this weather clears.